After 10 years of barely sleeping, and this is lying awake night after night, I finally figured out something that most sleep doctors never really explain. And it's that your brain falls asleep when it feels safe enough to let go into rest. That's it. That's the whole thing. And in this video, I'm going to show you these 3 techniques that send that exact signal of safety in real time. One works in under 30 seconds, one cuts that thread of anxiety that can keep running, and one sounds completely insane, but you'll want to give it a try. Because once you understand the conversation happening between you and your own nervous system, everything changes, and it's not just sleep. So one thing nobody explains is that bedtime is often the first moment, real quiet moment your brain has had all day. And when it finally gets quiet, it does exactly what it always does in the quiet. It processes, it plans, it worries, it replays. Your brain isn't trying to torture you at midnight. It's catching up on everything it didn't get to deal with that was running through the day. And I used to lie there thinking I was broken, that my brain was just different from everybody else's. But it wasn't. It just never got the message that the day was over, and nobody had taught me how to send that message. Here's the neuroscience on why high achievers can't turn off your brain when trying to sleep. Your brain runs at different electrical frequencies, and each one corresponds with a different mental state. High beta, threat mode, hyperarousal. Your system is scanning for danger, solving problems, bracing for whatever's next. Beta, your normal waking state, alert and focused. Alpha, this is different. It's calm, relaxed, still awake, but beginning to release, the bridge between waking and sleep. Theta, light sleep. Delta, deep sleep. Here's why this matters. Your brain cannot jump from high beta straight to sleep. It has to pass through alpha first. That's not optional. That is biology. And will only make that shift if it believes the threat is over. Not managed, not quieted, but over. This is why supplements don't work for people who are really struggling with sleep. This is why sleep hygiene checklists don't actually even touch it. Those things are not computing with the part of your brain that has decided whether it's safe to sleep. You need to speak a different language. That's exactly what we're going to talk about with these 3 techniques. But before the techniques, one thing is absolutely worth understanding, and it's that every single one of these does the same thing at its core. It sends the signal of safety. It's a direct message to your nervous system that the threat is over. We can stand down. And they just do it through 3 different doors. The first one changes your body's chemistry in about 30 seconds. The second one is cutting that thread that your mind is running. And the third one removes the pressure that it's been locking you out of sleep. Use the one that resonates tonight. But know what you're actually doing is that you're not tricking your brain, you're communicating with it. 2 quick inhales through the nose, back to back, and then 1 long exhale through the mouth. Physiological sigh. This was researched and popularized by Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. The double inhale fully inflates the small air sacs in the lungs and partially collapses when you're tense or breathing shallow. The long exhale is a rapid release and drop of CO2 in your bloodstream. And that drop directly triggers your parasympathetic nervous system into that rest and digest state. It's fantastic. And it's the fastest known way to downregulate your nervous system in real time. Faster than any other breathing technique. So you can do it once, do it 3 times if you want. You'll feel the shift while it's happening. And this was one of the first things that actually moved the needle for me. And not because it solved everything, for sure, but because for the first time, my body had a way to say, it's okay. We can exhale now. And after 10 years of feeling like I was holding my breath the night, that meant something. Cognitive shuffle. And this one comes from the cognitive scientist, Luc Provost. And when you hear this, it's going to sound strange. Basically, it's intentionally thinking of completely random, totally unconnected images. A banana, purple sock, a lighthouse, a dancing penguin floating in space. As random and as disconnected as possible. Here's why this works. Your problem-solving brain needs a thread to follow, a narrative, a through line. Give it a thread and it will run all night, right? Looping in worries, rehearsing tomorrow's hard conversations, replaying the thing from last Tuesday. This cognitive shuffle cuts that thread. And something so meaningless, so deliberately unconnected that your brain cannot form a story, cannot stay in problem-solving mode, cannot maintain the scanning behavior, keeping it stuck in that high beta state. What it actually does is mimic the hypnagogic state the semi-random imagery your brain produces naturally in the moments just before sleep onset. So you're essentially taking the pre-sleep state to your brain, and your brain follows. This is spreading across social media right now for a reason. People are genuinely surprised how fast it can support them. When you cut this thread, sleep can come in through the back door. So I know this sleep tip will sound completely insane, but it's actually one of my favorites. Try to stay awake. Lie in bed, eyes open or softly closed, and actively tell yourself, don't fall asleep. I know, but stay with me. For most people struggling with sleep, the number one thing keeping them awake isn't their thoughts. It's the pressure, the performance anxiety around sleep itself. Watching the clock, calculating how many hours you'll get if you can't fall asleep right now, the dread that it's happening again. That pressure is a threat signal, and your nervous system reads it as danger and responds in the only way it knows how, which is by staying alert. And the moment you take sleep off the table as a performance, your nervous system stops treating bedtime as something to survive. And I remember the night that I just finally stopped. I told myself I didn't care anymore if I slept. I surrendered. I wasn't performing or pretending. I genuinely meant it because I was so worn out. And sure enough, something in my body shifted. Not everything, but something. Like it had been waiting for me to stop demanding and finally just let it do its job. Because sleep is not a performance. It's something your body does when you stop fighting it. So when you genuinely try to stay awake, when you actively mean it, something interesting happens. Your body starts doing the one thing it's been trying to do all along. These techniques can certainly be helpful. And with consistency, they'll start to retrain our nervous system at bedtime, which means it begins to feel safe instead of threatened. But I want to be straight with you. So listen up, especially to my business owners. If you've been struggling with sleep for months or years, techniques have a ceiling, because the real question isn't how quiet can I get my mind tonight? It's why doesn't my nervous system feel safe in the first place? And that answer lives underneath, in the stress that never had anywhere to go, and the emotions you've been pushing down, in the version of yourself you've been trying to override every single day while something quieter inside is asking to be heard. For me, it was a life I built around achievement and approval. I had constructed everything around what I thought I needed to be so that people would accept me. And my body knew it wasn't real. I wouldn't rest because I wasn't being honest, not with anyone, but most certainly not myself. That's bigger than a breathing pattern problem. That's the deeper work. And when you do it, not just your sleep changes, but everything does. And that's exactly why I built my sleep support community, Healing Sleep at its Root, with over 20 courses, a personalized sleep roadmap, a 7-day nervous system reset, and live calls with me each week. Plus, we have over 1,500 people inside who are doing exactly what you are. It's $8 a month because I spent $180,000 learning what I needed to know. And I don't want cost to be the reason someone stays stuck. So the link's in the description, and I hope to see you inside. But tonight, try one, just one. The physiological sigh, if it feels something more immediate and psychological. The cognitive shuffle, if your mind's running narratives and stories all night. Or maybe the paradoxical intention, if you feel the pressure and dread every time you get into bed. Drop a comment, tell me which of these you're gonna try. I read every single one. And if you're ready to go deeper, the link's below. You don't have to figure this thing out alone. Rest well.